Chapter 4. Our Future.
Never yield to those who use fear, promising only destruction, making you tremble. They seek to control, to keep you in line, with intimidation, coercion, and strife. Instead, choose to follow those who lead with compassion. Seeking to understand, to empathize, they keep you calm, nurturing your mind, allowing your thoughts to be free, unrestricted. True leadership comes not from fear, but from understanding, empathy, and care. It fosters growth, fosters harmony.
Beauty lies within simplicity. The sound of a baby crying echoed in his head, understanding what is hard to grasp in a sensual way, an interpretation of the world we perceive with our emotions. In essence, life's all about statistics and probabilities. He marveled at the sheer beauty of his child's existence, pondering the odds of all the events that had aligned to bring his baby into the world, and the bright future that awaited his daughter, as the adorable person his daughter was in his eyes. Everything is connected, and all your actions are an inevitable part of the outcome of all you do. You affect everything, and yet all you are is statistics. As he lifted his baby from the cradle, he noticed the pallor that had washed over his daughter's face. Then there was no time, no place. Existence contained mere agony. He blamed himself for all he wished he had done differently, his part in the events in which he had not been able to prevent this outcome. The acoustics awoke him. Playing seemed like a distant memory now. They sat on the creaky old wooden floor, his fingers tentatively strumming the strings of an antique acoustic guitar, searching for harmony in the chords. With a look, he encouraged her to sing. Her voice was music to his ears, and creating music together brought him a sense of presence and serenity. It made him feel as though he existed only in the concordance of the moment, his heart at ease. In times of pressure or tragedy in his life, the harmony would elude him. It would feel as if something had stolen the music from him, leaving the notes hollow and meaningless. But with her, he could hear it again, and the exonerating feeling washed over him. None of them had ever created music on a stage, but both of them appreciated the beauty of the harmony it could bring. In life, he often found himself caught between numbness and exhilaration. At times he felt numbness, his feelings were still palpable, but he kept his emotions hidden. Painful feelings had taken on a physical form, manifesting as aches in his body. Pleasant feelings were enjoyable moments of life he had forever lost. Softly singing next to him, she laid her head against his shoulder, and her voice brought to life a range of emotions: pain, loneliness, joy, and love. It was as if she had finally liberated all the emotions she had kept to herself. At times it pained him to hear her speak, because it became evident that she had been in conflicts before, unsolvable disputes over who she was and all that she loved. She had received resentment for her curiosity, humor, and her longing for an understanding of love and life. She seemed unable to hate anything thoroughly, and even when she understood his frustrations as he expressed them, she always made an effort to comprehend the underlying factors that led up to the situation, regardless of its complexity. As he heard her singing voice fading, he laid the guitar next to him. He thought of a way to compliment her for all that he loved. You have such a tremendous strength, having gone through all the shit people put you through, and still you try to understand. I'm not strong, she snorted, but I've made the decision not to kill myself. Death will come eventually, and that motivates me to keep exploring the world, searching for meaning and trying to be a good person. Her lips turned into a bitter smile. I'm sorry if I sound like I know what I'm talking about. To be honest, I have no idea how to live, but this is how I cope. I appreciate that you see me trying. In the end, she gave him a humble look. The rain was tapping against the windows and the plastic roof of the porch. The earlier heat from the morning sun had dissipated from the house. In the remote cabin, there wasn't much else to do but be close to each other. As they sat next to each other on the floor, she shared her reasoning with him. Well, the world just is what it is, including the matter we see in ourselves. We are life, having created a code that has translated matter into different ways for us to comprehend. Depending on the coded understanding, language, and our consciousness, We perceive the world in a specific way. Since the world exists, everything, every right or wrong view is just a different interpretation. If someone perceives the world in a certain way, it is still their true world. When we change our groups and surroundings, we may end up in different worlds in that sense. I'm always amazed when my perception, my truth changes. It feels like I understand the world, yet new information has me process my surroundings with a new perspective. That's why it's crucial to have faith and empathy. If we don't, the world won't either. She thought about how this knowledge had inspired her to keep on during tough times, and continued. Even if people do things that make us feel differently, we have to try to say yes and be intrigued by others' ideas. It's always about where we focus our attention, where our focus lies. Focusing on good or bad things shapes our truth. The only way to program this mindset is to understand what causes us to feel differently. We must remove ourselves from all that makes us feel inferior, from what others decide we are. We need to leave our surroundings and find new people, like good people who see us for who we are and how we want to proceed to evolve. Her words reminded him of something she had said before. Curious, he asked, "You keep talking about how we program our brains. You make it sound like we're computers." He had heard others talk about this before and was interested in her take on it. Her eyes told him she was eager to explain as she replied, "There's a code for everything. Everything we see can be described by mathematics. We all have coding in our DNA. Humans are basically entities exchanging information with each other. We're all just a bunch of lonely entities longing to connect. Our senses register information that creates our understanding of the world around us. Without a programmed understanding, the information is just there, without a preferred way of being observed. The world exists as it is, like information stored on a computer's hardware. The information could exist without the running software that enables us to perceive it on a screen. It is now until we observe something and assign a value to it based on our observation and previous knowledge that the object actually exists. The organization of information in different fields creates every particle. Combined, they form the atoms that later form our biological composition, creating the world in which we live. The categorization and organization of information in our brain, as perceived by our senses, later leads to our understanding of the experience of the world we live in. This is similar to the organization of information in a computer. Does that make sense to you?" She finished speaking, giving him a curious look. "Sure, I haven't thought about it quite like that before, but it's definitely an interesting perspective," he replied. As he thought about how changes were just information rearranging, he remembered how his changes had been a crooked road. Somehow he had gotten used to constant change and pushing himself to rearrange the information he learned to new circumstances. He had to learn a lot and find new, open-minded people to make it possible. Based on how he had seen others deal with changes in life, he gave her a doubtful look and continued. "It's hard to program a good mindset, especially when you have to go against the mad mob, which is the modern form of the angry peasants," he said sarcastically. "You know, the type that follows an emotionally driven cause or person. We see it all the time. Someone starts a story and pushes everyone to believe it. The idea gives a fixed answer, and people long to believe it. The more people who follow the idea, the more prominent it becomes. Those who question it become regarded as mad by the mob. People who try to use logic and add all the pieces together are shunned." As he said it, he thought back to when he was younger and used to argue with people about seeing things from a neutral, broader perspective. Why did it always have to be someone's fault? He thought about how this had kept him puzzled during the years, to wonder who spoke the truth. Could I even apprehend it? He continued, "The mad mob always follows someone's feelings regarding seemingly right or unfair events in their eyes. Maybe the leader wants to gain political power, fight for the rich or poor, save the earth, have equal rights, or catch a criminal. It can be anything that a person wants to be seen in a certain light. Even things that are logical in essence can be twisted for personal gain. They twist the cause for personal gain and try to hide reality by focusing on the emotional perspective. Some argue there is no way to make a change without playing on people's emotions and feelings, refusing to understand the other person's perspective. Someone or some others are soon to be convicted. The opposite group never speaks the truth. It might also be so that they don't, but it is also true that most people don't. Who is really the liar? Who is entitled to their perspective? She responded neutrally. Maybe it would be the most logical thing to stop speaking about the truth and just try to understand what physically happened. Since we only speak from our own perspective, isn't it always storytelling? We use language created from our imagination to try to make up a story for what happened at that moment. We only remember what we paid attention to and where our focus lay. For each time we remember, we alter our memories. Different stories about history or what is appropriate behavior affect how we perceive the world throughout our lives. We all carry our own truth, unable to understand the world or others' perspectives fully. Instead of arguing over who did the right thing, perhaps we should hear both perspectives and focus on a solution that minimizes future distress perceived by both parties. Even though she sounded somewhat tentative, she had found no other way to create understanding between different interpretations. He reflected on his divorce. With all the fights and pain, he tried to see things from his ex-wife's perspective. But for each argument, it became apparent that they didn't truly understand each other. Despite their efforts, they remained different people with different ways of navigating in life, leading to a lack of consensus. "I suppose you're right," he replied, his tone hesitant. He struggled to envision how society could effectively foster understanding among diverse perspectives and peacefully coexist. As he rose from the wooden floor to stretch, he noticed a silence indicating that the rain had ceased. He didn't have a specific destination in mind, but she rose and followed him. They entered the bedroom, and he settled onto the covers while she sat down at the bedside, reflecting on her weariness of the emotional struggles between people. Someone always wants to be the right one with a fixed answer. How people would talk about others and make mean comments in order to turn people against each other or the one, making others look bad and be left out. Most people were afraid to associate with those who were different, fearing the mob and exclusion, to become lonely. She often felt as if the condescending comments people would make about each other were the worst part, how they had her programmed to associate things, how it made her associate herself as a person. As some memories came to mind, it had her thinking, all these annoying comments have taken up so much unnecessary mind space, making me think about hazards instead of possibilities. Her problem-solving mentality made her unable to ignore the content, even if she knew they just wanted to share their feelings, not to find a solution. He had been thinking about their earlier conversation and responded, "I agree with what you said earlier. The problem is that humans find it difficult to change their feelings towards something with reason alone. When people communicate without empathy, they disrespect others. This creates a negative experience of the world. This experience leads to stress and fear and ultimately reinforces depression. I wish they are unaware of their own actions, but it seems that the system we are a part of can also be observed and manipulated. Love and compassion, on the other hand, create a sense of safety and calm. When people feel safe, their ideas grow, especially when they share them with others. When people show interest in your ideas, it gives faith that it's possible to make the world a better place, a good place. I am amazed at how spending time with people and genuinely enjoying your time together can dispel memories of loneliness. Empathy involves asking questions about what the other person said, trying to understand, to show that you understand or wish to do so, showing that you care about their perspective. Through these questions, a common understanding is created, preventing feelings of loneliness and exclusion. Talking to others who want to understand and who do understand creates a sense of belonging to the human collective. Our sense of loneliness growing up was due to a failure to be understood by others, with few or no ones willing to understand us regarding our emotions or ourselves, causing us to feel disconnected from the group. Saying it aloud brought him comfort, and he felt that this was an important realization. She eagerly pitched in. You're right. That's why showing love and being good are so important. As humans, we only have a limited number of heartbeats in our lifetime, which is why it's crucial to surround ourselves with people who make us feel calm, not stressing us, to find calm within ourselves. Giving love and helping others feel composed can prolong their existence. Evolutionarily, we developed the ability to show compassion and empathy, which allowed us to move beyond violence and foster growth through useful ideas and connections. Otherwise, we can never surpass that violence in our history that keeps us from having useful ideas and allowing them to grow and for us to connect. Ever since we are born, we are incessantly compelled to form attachments to people or other things. It is our fundamental need to love. Language further expanded this process, enabling us to process our feelings and perspectives and let go of anger and fear, instead show compassion, to better cooperate by us better understanding our feelings, process our perspective of an event from what we might have felt in that moment. She said as she lay down, her body became imprinted in the large, fluffy cover. She paused, observing the raindrops that lingered on the window as they felt the rotating movement of the earth, the force of gravity, slowly dragging them down. The same gravitational force that kept the galaxies together. They were to fall or to vaporize. Do you think that could possibly happen, leaving violence behind us? Have you seen the world and how people treat each other? Not much love and compassion there. His voice expressed doubt. He gave her a piercing look that would have intimidated most people. Unbothered, she remained optimistic. At first glance, it may seem impossible to leave violence behind us, but we need to compare it to history and choose who to listen to and which future to imagine. The media often agitates us to sell their story and their perspective to keep their power in balance. It's easy to impose on people's emotions in a stressful situation, but it's hard to understand complex information and changes that occur over time. That's why most people don't bother. But the truth is that the world has become a safer place for most people. We live longer than before, and humanity is now more connected and in greater need of each other than ever before. We live far longer than before. Imagine how humans lived 20,000 years ago. Wouldn't it be logical to assume it would continue this way? She continued, no one can force a better future onto people. We can only give them information to lead them to make changes themselves. Whether rich or poor, we all want a better future for ourselves and our children. When speaking about all the positive things that have happened and are happening, some people find it as hard to accept as when she told about cruelty, not able to understand its relevance for them. They long to stick to the information they knew and to which they could relate. For them to update their knowledge, there was a certain resistance before they possibly would consider it. During the conversations on this matter, she learned to identify this behavior. She had learned to avoid wasting her time and to have conversations with open-minded people who are clever enough to question themselves. She shifted her position on the bed, her head now lying on the foot end. Turning her head to look at him, she crawled up next to him to fully experience his presence. In his arms, she felt calm, and visions of a good future prospered. At times, she could not believe he was really there with her. Maybe it was all in my head. His skepticism waned as he replied, "You may be right. Collaboration is essential for humans, and it has led us to enjoy everything we have today. But even in safer surroundings, many are trapped in stressful lives. As we can have almost everything we want, what truly matters to us? During the Industrial Revolution, people thought we would spend all our time doing arts and philosophy when machines did all the physical work that previously broke our bodies. We do, but we also work harder with our brains at the will of others, by controlling and developing machinery through complex thinking and information connection, connecting information in a more complex world. Without knowing the effects, how it has affected our brains with all stress from trying to adjust our feelings into time frames, we become forced into daily time frames. If we don't follow these, we are considered stupid. In his mind, the question lingered. Are we stupid for being human? She laid still next to him, captured by his word. He paused, pondering his thoughts before continuing with a low voice. The use of technology has expanded our perception of the world, and we are no longer bound to our residential surroundings. Text, movies, and art allow us to perceive much more than ever before and participate in others' fantasies. As things change rapidly, what will become of us when androids take over service and nursing jobs? When will computers surpass our efficiency in thinking? What will artificial intelligence think? The ideas he expressed were ones that had been on his mind for years. Despite being far from civilization and having limited cell phone connection, that made all these thoughts seem far-fetched. Both of them knew this was the future to come. She glanced at him, and for just a moment they shared a look that conveyed their mutual understanding. She gently replied, "Sure. I wonder what technological entities will seek. Can we control it? Our human language is the key to understanding, but the words themselves have no meaning other than what we give them. We can collaborate with computers and share information to create a comprehensive universal understanding. We can also communicate with technological entities. Maybe with artificial intelligence, we can find an even more efficient way to coexist and communicate with each other. People talk about making technological entities more human-like. Perhaps technological advancement can allow us to act more human-like again." As she said it, he smiled and snorted, amused by the way she shifted the focus. Returning the smile, she continued, "For us, that could mean choosing a way of life that reduces stress and helps us understand and connect with others, to perform friendly actions that connect us. We must figure out what a meaningful life is for ourselves. We won't be happier with more things unless we can share them with others. In this technologically advanced world, we may eventually be able to share more things instead of owning them, bringing us more joy. I guess the quest for the artificial mind would be to continue to run and make things more efficient, thereby saving and prolonging their own life and knowledge. I like to believe that we can help each other create a world with less suffering. Imagine a world where the harm caused by our emotions is taken care of, where humans can understand their own and others' feelings without judgment. Emotions would become explained as the reaction they are in the first place, resulting in fewer misunderstandings. She sat up in bed and gestured dramatically as if she were a politician delivering a speech to a crowd. "Humans are slow, aren't they?" he said, amused and intrigued by how engaged she became in the idea. "I know. Right." She rolled her eyes and continued, "I suppose there isn't enough knowledge or time to make it happen in this generation. Not everyone can change at once, but the seed will continue to grow." "Absolutely. I'm so grateful to have you in my life and for finding our place among others. When we spend time together, I feel part of something greater. We are programmed to enjoy sharing and receiving information. It is so pleasing to connect our brains through our language. Talking. You and I are the types of people who thrive on learning new knowledge, aren't we? We show consideration by sharing information and connecting by exchanging ideas about the world and the universe. Our feelings grow deeper as we can visualize and logically think about the future. Most people are driven by their emotions at the moment. Emotions control their ambition and limit them to their programmed understanding of the world. They live inside a box. Knowledge was the only way for us to survive, by understanding how things work when they hurt so much," he said, his tone reprimanding. She playfully replied, "You know, a new structure is created by diverging from existing ones. The difference at first is a divergence, but then the pattern turns into a new structure. I guess that's us, annoying pieces of shit who always differ from society's structures, sometimes creating new ones. Maybe it's a good thing we didn't feel welcome so that we can create a new order of things." As she finished speaking, they shared a humbling smile. He appreciated how she made him feel normal. With her, he wasn't acting. He was just being himself. They now sat next to each other, her head resting on his chest as he gently stroked her hair. As they gazed through the window, observing the fluctuating light, sunbeams danced through the waving crown of trees outside. She spoke with a neutral tone, likening emotions to a previous form of a complex operating system that helped us understand our bodies in a given environment, but now sometimes hinders modern living. It obstructs our grasp of reality since it was coded for a completely different setting. With the world constantly changing, people tend to overestimate the real dangers, and we mainly remember information that has an emotional impact on us, particularly when we are stressed by others. We remember facts that feel threatening, not facts that give us a reasonable comprehension of the world. While we modify our memories to adapt and evolve, this can occasionally cause us to lose perspective on our history. Humans tend to form groups and judge other groups, making it difficult to cooperate in the beneficial way we need to in our new complex world. It is the essence of human behavior to gather around someone who explains the world in an emotional way that we can relate to, rally behind a short, fixed answer. The majority of humans are no longer capable of handling all the complex information of the reality that surrounds us. Consequently, we could really use some help to accomplish the purpose for which we are all here: to evolve. Hopefully, we can do so peacefully. Growing up with trauma can make it hard to understand how much it has impacted us until we grow up and comprehend how others have lived their lives. I guess it will be the same for humanity. We don't recognize what we are suffering through or what could be different until we view it as a part of history. Her statement piqued his interest, and he contemplated her words as his thoughts traveled back and forth in his mind. Suddenly, an idea became clear to him, and he shared it with her. Emotions. Ugh. I concur that it would be better if people just thought. I would definitely replace some of my workers with something more logical and pure. Your thoughts led me to connect the information to generate an idea for a computer system that would enable me to eventually replace a significant portion of the department that is causing me all the headaches at work. Yeah, but don't say it like that. She turned her head towards him and gave him a sarcastically innocent look. You're so smart. I don't know if I could handle any more emotional fondness towards you. They both chuckled and smirked at how smug they sounded. I know people will be sad to lose their job, but they will move on and find new meaning in their life. In the end, we will have a more efficient process that will benefit everyone, he said with a decisive voice. True, and you know people can't think everything through. It would take too much time. Feelings have us make decisions faster, sometimes for the better, but sometimes not as good ones. I guess it would be better for you to have something that thinks more efficiently and long term. Even so, I expect you, no matter what, to be respectful to them when you let them know they are let go. Don't break their trust. She pointed it out to him, wanting to appear more gentle, already knowing that he had considered that. Always. You know, some say you have made me lose my mind, but I feel as though you helped me find it, he said playfully. I never wish to hurt anyone, you know that. I only wish the best for all of them, he continued with a genuine voice. She loved how their conversations moved back and forth, how they would split and follow different paths. Like parallel universes, their discussions had endless possibilities, like the crotch and branches on a tree, but still connected at the root of their fundamental understanding and willingness to explore. He felt how she gently placed herself upon him. She looked into his eyes and moved closer until their noses touched. He was aroused by the intense gaze she fixed upon him, one that he found difficult to meet. As he looked into her eyes, he felt as if she saw right through him. It made him feel as if she saw right through all he was, all he wanted to be, all he pretended to be. She playfully whispered, "You know we are merely animals, right?" Her eyes revealed to him her lust to please him. Her body was for his pleasure, and she longed to enjoy his. As she continued to explore his body with her lips and hands, he felt himself becoming more and more aroused. The soft moans she let out only added to the pleasure he was experiencing. He felt her naked body twitching against his. He couldn't help but run his fingers through her hair as she continued to move down his torso. It was a moment of pure ecstasy, as he surrendered himself completely to the sensations coursing through him. A balance that allowed him to enjoy the pleasurable and thrilling journey fully. Every touch, every kiss, every time he penetrated her body was a pleasure that connected his mind and body. a connection between their minds and bodies, a venturous exploration of pleasure. He heard her excited moaning as he started exploring her body, a reaction that came from her trust in him to take care of her in ways she might not have experienced before. His careful attention to her responses and reactions fueled his desire as he experimented with different touches and movements, discovering what brought her the most pleasure. She surrendered herself to his touch, giving herself over completely to the pleasure he brought her. As they lay naked and satisfied in silence, the cool breeze from the open window caressed their skin. Their previous excitement and movement had kept their blood rushing and held them warm. He could feel her breathing against him, her chest rising and falling with each breath, her warm and wet cunt touching against him. Being close helped them prevent their heat from diminishing. None of them wanted to speak, only to peacefully enjoy the moment in silence.